Thank you. I am Alex. This is Mario. You might have gotten that. Um, this is a working session. I think the whole day is going to be a working session. So thank you for all of you workers who come to get into this fascinating topic of artificial intelligence. And thank you to people who have already responded to the poll, which asked about your experience with artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT. Um, since I have gotten a very nice introduction from Doug, I don't need to tell you much more about myself, other than I am very interested in the integration of educational technology in classrooms and helping teachers to do their jobs better, more effectively, easier. And that is what we will be talking about today with this topic of the strand innovation, the innovation strand, artificial intelligence, and the classroom. So this is some information about School Frontiers. We do school performance coaching, and you can hear more about that if you come to our table, which I hope you will, in the vendors area. So we're going to go like super fast through an activity today, which is using ChatGPT and Bing Create to create a story the same way a teacher might in a classroom. And I was wanted to give you guys hands-on experience in using these tools the same way kids are using them, the same way teachers might use them, in order to work on so let's say English language topic that would say help meet the standards in English. So we're gonna kind of run through that in order to make it work more quickly, because we don't have a whole lot of time. We are going to take input from you rather than have you do it on your computer. I really wanted to have you do it on your computer, but if you don't have ChatGPT and Bing Create on your computers, we could spend the whole time just getting you set up on that, and that might be a little difficult. I think I do want you to do the activity at some point, and you can come talk to us downstairs if you need some more assistance with it. But we're going to do as much of the activity as we can today with people putting the information into our computer, and it will come up on the screen. So thank you in advance for your participation in this activity that we're going to do. So we're going to talk a little bit to begin with. Why make tools? We're kicking off the artificial intelligence strand here. I wanted to get into why do we care about artificial intelligence and things like ChatGPT and generative AI, as they call it. And as I was thinking about it, it was about how we have always looked to technology and tools in order to make our lives a little easier, work better, work faster. And you might say that then gives us more sort of leisure time or time to do more creative or interesting things than just bringing in the wheat and cutting into making it into bread. That's creative and interesting, but that might not be what you want to do all the time. So in any case, a brief history of making tools that leading up to generative AI. About 6 million years ago, hominids sort of appeared on Earth and began walking upright, didn't really use tools. About 3.5 million years ago, simple tools like little knives and things started to be created. And then modern humans came around 2 million years ago with little more developed tools like double-sided stones that turned into axes. Started using fire about 400,000 years ago, and then people made more refined tools with like sharp arrow tips and things like that about 100,000 years ago. Then wheels about 6,000, writing about 5,000. First computers only about 80 years ago. First transistor calculators 70 years ago. The first AI chess player was about 100 years ago, believe it or not. And then artificial neural networks started to be created about 70 years ago. And then the internet, as you all have a lot of familiarity with, started about 50 years ago. And then internet search about 30 years ago. I think Google search actually just celebrated 25 years. So you can see how that has developed. And then generative AI actually started about 20 years ago. And that is artificial intelligence that basically takes information that existed and tries to predict what is logically next. We can talk about that a little bit. But anyway, that leads us up to generative AI as the new thing. Generative AI is a major breakthrough in artificial intelligence. Chatbots are the way we interact with these things in general by putting information into things like ChatGPT or Bard from Google, and we ask those tools to make textual or image things for us. So the chatbots, what you have to understand about them is they aren't thinking machines, at least not yet. They are predictors, and then they create something based on what they think you want them to predict based on the information they have from before. So our goal today is to use ChatGPT 3.5 because that's the free version. Make prompts. Prompts are what get a chatbot going. The longer a prompt, the more precise information you get out of the tool, but the slower it gets, and sometimes it just says, I can't do this. This is too much information to deal with. What we did, an example of a prompt, I just wrote one real quick, which was, make an itinerary for a 10-day trip to California that includes travel times by car and travel modes to visit San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, and Fremont. I threw in Fremont just to give it a wrinkle in there and not have a pat thing about, the major cities. And then include 3-star or higher hotels with a stay of at least 2 nights in each town. And that is what you can do with these tools. I actually have a document where it actually did that. I don't think we need to show them right now, but it churned it out in about 30 seconds, something that you would probably pay a travel agent to do, and it would take them hours and hours. Well, now they can use this, so they wouldn't take them hours and hours, but now you can use this for free. Okay, so our first task is going to be make a story with ChatGPT, which is a tool created by a company called OpenAI. And I see that some people have said that they've used it to write a story. Is anybody here who has used it to write a story before? Yes, yes. Oh, you, okay. Did it work out?
It did. It was terrible, but it worked.
Oh, okay. Well, we might make a better one this time. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that's our goal. And other people have used it for a lot of other things. And my one question, which was open-ended, which was like something else, so people can tell us about what else they've used it for. But people, according to this survey, people used it to summarize an article, which I have done, write a letter, another thing that I've done. No one had used it for making a travel plan. I will definitely recommend doing something like that because it can save you a lot of time and effort. To make a lesson plan, which is this kind of thing, and then some people haven't used it at all, which is totally fine. So if we want to make a story that we can use, and we can use this task in a classroom to get kids to understand the elements of story and things like that, we can start with the standards. Of course, start with the standards. This is what we're trying to get the kids to do, according to the state of Pennsylvania, at least in part, learn how to do things like write a story and dissect a story and things like that. So in searching through the standards, we can find things In writing, like students write for different purposes and audiences. Students write clear and focused text to convey a well-defined perspective and appropriate content. And then there's different things at different levels, like 11th grade, 8th grade. I didn't put the whole thing up here because, as you know, there's a lot of information there. But you can find the particular levels. In reading literature, I did have the individual standard there, which was for 8th grade. So going all the way down to what do we want to do. So to write our story today, we're actually going to go into a common motif called a hero's journey. Anybody familiar with the mode of storytelling called hero's journey? Yes, there's at least a couple. So in hero's journey, we're going to talk about the little elements, but basically it's almost every movie you've ever seen. So hero's journey, whether you know how the format works or not. In this case, you see a diagram which kind of shows that you start out with the person in the call to adventure, and then they get a mentor who says, like, you need to improve yourself. They go into another world, which is a world that they don't really know, and they explore. I mean, you can see the Hobbit in this whole story. Then they go and then fight the dragon in order to, prove that they have new skills or whatever, and then they get some kind of reward for that, and then they take a road back to as a transformed person. So an important thing about the hero's journey is that the character transforms into they're not a hero to begin with, or maybe they were, but not in the way that they eventually are going to be. And they transform into a sort of a better version of themselves. So to a certain extent, we're all on a hero's journey, we would hope in any case. So this is the format that the kids will use. And what we'll do is we take a ChatGPT, which Mario's going to use, state elements of the story. These are the elements of the story. And then we're going to write a prompt along the lines of the elements of the story. But you guys are going to write a story by giving us some of these sort of main elements of the story. And we're just going to make a story real quick and use ChatGPT to do it. Okay. So I realize that you're going to have to shout out some of these things. And you can be as crazy as you want, really, because ChatGPT does not judge. Nor does Mario, for that matter. So our elements are. We're gonna go back. Well, I can tell you what the first one is, which is hero. Who could be our hero? What could our hero be like? Some of my examples could be a tortoise, could be a teacher, could be anything. What does our hero look like? Hermit crab, I love it. I love the hermit crabs, yeah. Okay, so we got a hermit crab, and then we've got a home setting. Where does the hermit crab live currently? Baltimore. Baltimore's a good place. It's a good place for crabs. Is that okay? Yeah, good place for crabs on a certain day, but maybe not on another day. This hermit crab is lucky because it didn't have to worry about it too much. Yeah, we can. I think we can remember what these pieces are. Mario, you can go back to the format there. I know he's switching back and forth on Zoom, so it makes it a little cumbersome. All right, so you can. Well, anyway, so this hermit crab is going to have an obstacle, which is going to create a problem for it. And it's a big enough obstacle that it really has to go somewhere to change something about itself in order to overcome that obstacle. What happens to the hermit crab? He wants to downsize. He wants to downsize, like his house is too big? Oh, wow, that's we might have to, is that a good enough obstacle for him? Like he needs a smaller house. Yeah. All right. Okay. He needs a smaller house. Okay. So where is the hermit crab going to go to try and find a smaller place? Charter school, definitely. Charter school for hermit crabs somewhere in Baltimore. Okay, so the hermit crab needs a guide to teach them how to do something. In this case, probably change houses or whatever it is. What's that guide look like? Could be anything.
It's a unicorn.
Unicorn?
Underwater unicorn with a superhero.
Oh, an underwater unicorn. We got that right? Okay. And then, the challenge, there's gonna have a challenge. So the challenge is gonna be like, okay, so, you know, there's just not many houses around. Like, all the houses are not typical hermit crab houses, something like that. And then they get a reward for, you know, for finding that house that really fits or making it work for them. What kind of reward? I mean, they're gonna get to go back home. Well, of course, immediately, but then sort of like technically they go back home to Baltimore. So reward that the hermit crab could get for doing all this. Home is all. I say so. Like emotional fulfillment, I think, is what this hermit crab's really going to learn, and because that's a good charter school. It teaches social emotional learning, right? Okay, so that's our prompt. We're going to do it, Mario.
All right. Alex, can you guide us through how to write the proper prompt?
Yeah. So Mario was asking, can we figure out how to write the proper prompt? I will tell you that there is an app that helps you write prompts, and I can share that with you after this if you want. But the general idea is, so a hermit crab from Baltimore engages in a hero's journey. Yes. When it's a guy hermit crab, I guess. When he loses, I don't know. When he discovers that he lives in a house that's too big. Okay, now you can actually do another sentence, and the hermit crab goes, what was the land that he was going into? Oh, charter school. The hermit crab enters a charter school where he meets a guide that is an underwater unicorn, certainly. Trying to remember all the pieces. What was the challenge they had? The challenge was the, you know, couldn't find any decent sized houses, right? So the unicorn teaches him how to find an appropriately sized house. Okay, he finds the house. Returns to Baltimore. Period. And then the journey teaches him emotional fulfillment. Okay, we'll go with that. Go with all of our pieces that way. Okay, we'll see. Now we're going to run it. Yeah. And this is what ChatGPT is going to tell us. Okay, I'll read it to you. It's having a little challenge there because this is a long one. I don't know. I didn't think it was going to be this long, but apparently Krusty had a long journey here. We'll go real quick through this story. So this is what ChatGPT says of our story. Once upon a time, this is Krusty's quest for home, a hermit crab's hero's journey. Nice. It even gave us a title. Once upon a time in the bustling city of Baltimore, there lived a hermit crab named Krusty. Krusty was unlike any other hermit crab in his neighborhood, for he dwelled in a house that was far too big for his small shell. This oversized shell had become his burden, leaving him feeling empty and unfulfilled. One sunny day, as Krusty was gazing at the shimmering waters of the Chesapeake Bay, he felt an inexplicable yearning deep within his shell. He knew he had to embark on a journey to find a shell that was just the right size for him, a journey that would change his life forever. Leaving behind his familiar surroundings, Krusty set out on his adventure, scuttling along the sandy shores of the bay. He faced many challenges and obstacles along the way, from predatory seagulls to treacherous tides, but he persevered with a determined heart. As he ventured deeper into the bay, Krusty came across a charter school hidden beneath the waves. Of course, it was unlike any school he'd ever seen, with its classrooms filled with aquatic creatures of all shapes and sizes. Krusty's curiosity led him inside, and there he met a wise and mystical underwater unicorn named Aquaria, yeah, it has a name, who became his guide on this unexpected hero's journey. Aquaria sensed Krusty's longing for a new home and knew that this quest was not just about finding a physical shell, but also about discovering emotional fulfillment. She shared her wisdom and taught Krusty the importance of self-discovery, empathy, and perseverance. Together, they embarked on a series of adventures beneath the waves, exploring the vibrant marine life of the Chesapeake Bay. They encountered playful dolphins, ancient sea turtles, and colorful coral reefs. Through these experiences, Krusty learned to appreciate the beauty of the underwater world and the importance of living in harmony with nature. That's what Krusty needed to learn. As their journey continued, Krusty eventually stumbled upon a stunning spiral-shaped shell that was just the right size for him. With Aquaria's guidance, he made it his new home. But the journey was not yet complete. Krusty knew that he had to return to Baltimore, to his old neighborhood, and share the lessons he had learned with his fellow hermit crabs. With his newfound wisdom and emotional fulfillment, he became a source of inspiration for his community. He taught them that true happiness could only be found by embracing change and pursuing one's inner desires. In the end, Krusty realized that his hero's journey had not only led him to a new home, but it also transformed him into a wiser, more compassionate hermit crab. He had discovered that the size of one's shell did not define their happiness. It was the journey of self-discovery and the relationships formed along the way that truly mattered. And so, Krusty the Hermit Crab returned to Baltimore as a hero, carrying with him the knowledge that had changed his life and the lives of those around him. His tale of the hero's journey served as a reminder to all that the path to emotional fulfillment was an adventure worth embarking upon, no matter how big or small one's shell might be. So, what do we think of our story of Krusty the Hermit Crab? We like it? If you like it, let's clap for Krusty. Yeah, Krusty, yeah, you got it. Okay, we got it. Okay. The nice thing about it is, and there are parts of this that I'm not totally thrilled with either. I like it. I like how it sort of embellishes on the Aquaria character, which we gave it very little information about. But there are some things I'm like, it's a little too generic or whatever. We could embellish on that, blah, blah, blah. But overall, it has the elements of the hero's journey that we came up with, and it does a pretty good job of relating how those carry the story forward. I think that's the important thing about a story, is it gets carried forward from the initial, sort of tension, and then, to where you want to go with it. So I give it pretty good marks for Krusty's hero journey. But I would agree with you, we can improve it. You can improve it. Gosh. Let's do a real quick improvement. I know we don't have a lot of time. Let's go, let's change something about Krusty. And we won't read the whole story again. We'll say, make the hermit crab a 1920s gangster.
Need some romance in there. Need a girlfriend.
Oh, no, no, oh, okay. With a starfish girlfriend. I don't know. She'd probably want a bigger house, not a smaller house, but I don't know.
Is that it? Do we
Yep.
have to put regenerate, Alex?
No, I think you can, I think you can do that.
Just hit this again?
Yeah. Okay, so then it's like, okay, we're gonna make it a little more interesting. And let's just go back to the beginning when it does it. It's like, anyway. So this adds a different theme, maybe a little bit more interest in it. And it's in the bustling jazz-infused streets of 1920s Baltimore, Krusty the Hermit Crab was no ordinary crustacean. He was a smooth-talking gangster, known for his dapper shell suits, fedora, and a reputation that extended from the boardwalk to the depths of the Chesapeake Bay. So you can adjust the story. I just want to show you that you can change elements of the story without much effort at all. And it only stores a certain amount of information that you can rework, and then it starts to lose it. So you only can do this a few times with this current iteration. Okay, so then what do we, Doug, what's the time on that? Okay, so I just want to do real quick. I think I'm going to show you what I did rather than go and make a Krusty the Krab. I mean, you could try. Okay, so I made something with a rabbit whose houses got destroyed by foxes, and it made a story called Oliver's Story. Then it went to Bing Create, and that's what it's called. Yeah, we have a link in the PowerPoint. But in any case, you put in the parameters. I had used several different tools, including ChatGPT's direct tool, and also something in an app that I use called Chatbox. And I didn't get good images that really showed like a rabbit very sad because the foxes had destroyed his house. So I made a prompt that said, a rabbit looking on mournfully as a sad rabbit looking on mournfully as his house had been destroyed by foxes. It gave me a whole bunch of different options. And I said, like, make it like a cartoon, right? You can make it like a cartoon, or you can make it more like realistic, depending. You just say, make it more realistic, or you can say, make it look like digital art, or make it look like Van Gogh, or whatever it is, depending on what you want. And this one I just said, make it look like a cartoon. And this was the best one, I thought, because it really was a pretty well destroyed house. And the rabbit was sad. And I really liked the rain clouds in the back that really like sort of added to the whole thing, as far as like, if you're gonna make this sort of like a third grade level story or whatever. And then underneath I just put the whole story. So just to show you that, and you can see where it was generated, just in case you were wondering, because down in the left, in a very light watermark, there's a B. So it does tell you where it came from. Okay, so if you just scroll down, Mario, you can show the, what the, that there's the rest of the story there, or not. Can you scroll down? Yeah, so there's a prompt, and there's the story. There's the picture that I made with the story. So this is what your kids can do to address those standards. Okay, and last thing we're going to do, Mario, go through the let's go through the very end of the presentation then. You guys in the back, the tech guys, you're doing a great job keeping this going. So I think the Zoom was a working situation, or perhaps now we have an issue. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that was the hero's journey. So that is how we use generative AI to write a story, to adjust a story, to address standards, and then create images to go with our story. And all this can be done with free tools, so every kid in the world can go and do this kind of thing. And certainly all the teachers in your classrooms can do this as well. And this is a tip of the iceberg. I just want to tell you one thing that you probably will be interested in knowing, which is this all works based on mathematical algorithms that take pieces of text and pieces of images and calculates the distances between those things and using them to make a prediction based on what you put into your prompt. And that's how generative AI works. And now they're creating tools which are going to be available pretty soon, which is voice activated. So you'll be able to just say what your hero's journey is going to be, and you won't even have to type it in, and then it will come up with the prompt. It may, in fact, you may be able to talk to it in multiple strands, like with Alexa, where you just say, Alexa, I want to hear a story about this. And then it might say, well, you didn't have a guide, or you didn't have a setting. Can you give me a setting? You say, make the setting Baltimore. So in other words, more fully interactive tools are on their way. So I thank you very much for participating, helping create a new story. And yeah, we made something that never existed in the world right here in this room today. So great.